everyone, I'm Kristen Olsen-Stone. Today I did this beautiful watercolor sketch of some of the roses in my backyard garden. This is another one of my garden sketches of my backyard rose garden. I'll show you some of the roses and I'll show you how to do the painting along with color mixing and how I even do my initial drawing. Please take a minute to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I'm out in my rose garden and I'm looking at all of the beautiful roses, and I'm going to sit out here and do a painting, and you can look over my shoulder and I'll explain how I'm going to arrange a few of these roses into a nice composition. So I'm going to start with this beautiful white rose, and the stem goes up like this and down, and it's on a beautiful branch that kind of goes up and over. I try not to have too many straight lines in my paintings. So now I'm just going to loosely draw in a few of the beautiful petals. And then I'm going to put in some of the leaves. So when I draw leaves, I like to try to have them be interesting looking and going in different directions. So I've got this one pointing to the left and this one pointing down. And that one's pointing down. So now maybe I'll make this one kind of curling a little bit. And I want to use overlap. Overlap is like a tool to show that my painting is three-dimensional. So I've got the rose here and the leaf is going to be showing up behind it. And I'm going to put two lines for this stem here. And this stem is overlapping this one. Now I also have some beautiful red roses, and actually they're called ketchup and mustard. So they're red and pink and yellow. So they've got beautiful yellow centers. So I'm just going to draw in one of the ketchup and mustard roses. There we are. And that one has a beautiful stem. I want to make sure that the direction of my stem is not symmetrical, so I don't want it to be, this angle to be exactly the same as this one. I want to make sure that I have a variety of angles. Now underneath this ketchup and mustard rose, there's another one that's a darker red, and this rose is casting a little bit of a shadow onto that one, which is really pretty. And I've got some nice leaves coming out from this. And I'm going to fill in down here with another one of the white roses. So this is a white rose, this is ketchup and mustard, and this is a deep pink. I'm going to have another white rose here. So I have one that's sort of leaning over. So I've got the stem going from right to left. And this rose is sort of facing down a little bit. So I'm going to put that one down here. And now I'm just going to fill in with a few more random leaves. Just kind of looking through all the leaves, there's hundreds of them, trying to pick out the ones that look the prettiest, the most interesting. And I'm just drawing some nice shapes. Now I want to have something on this side. I guess I'll have another stem with leaves, just to balance curves. I want to have a nice bit of motion going lower right to upper left and the opposite direction. I want to make sure I don't have everything leaning in the same direction. And I'm going to just leave the top open to keep it nice. So I'm going to start with the ketchup and mustard rose. And I'm going to start with permanent red deep. Just going to loosely go around the edges of my petals. I'm using a dagger brush, by the way. This is a Belle Aqua Silverbrush Dagger brush. So it has a nice point, and it also has a a wedge side so I can make broad strokes and lines with the same brush, which is really handy. We've got lots of happy little finches all around the garden. So with this small set of paints, I like to let my colors mix on the paper. So I'm going to get some azo yellow deep now, and I'm going to put some of that pretty yellow color. I'm also going to use some Cadmium yellow lemon. I'm going to put that pretty yellow color around the center here. So the rose underneath the ketchup and mustard one, I'm going to use permanent red violet and permanent red deep together to make a nice rich crimson rose. I'm going to put those colors down. The deep shadowy colors, I'm also going to mix some ultramarine blue with a color called Quinacridone purple bluish. It's similar to mauve, but slightly more pink. And I'm going to put some of that color right into the rose and let the colors mix on the paper. So that'll capture the shadow that the lighter rose is casting onto the deeper rose. And this one too has a little bit of shadow on the left side and on a few of the petals at the bottom. So while I have this color on my brush, I'm just going to go around and add a few details of this pretty dark color, just like this. Nice. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to paint the white roses. And for those, I'm going to use Cobalt blue. So the white roses are mostly white, but they've got a little bit of blue-violet shadow. So you can make that by mixing yellow ochre plus Cobalt blue plus a little bit of this rose color. And I'm going to put that first for the one at the bottom. So I'm going to leave a lot of white. I like my paintings to be kind of light and airy looking, so I want to leave a lot of white. And paint this rose. And then I'm going to go back and add some of the beautiful yellow colors that it has at the bottom where it's facing down. And I'm going to use a mixture again of cadmium lemon and azo yellow deep. That's really beautiful. So this rose up here is also a white rose. So the side that's facing me is very much in shadow. So I'm just going to loosely paint some of those petals in the foreground. And that one doesn't show me any of its yellow center, so I just won't put it there. I'm not going to make that part up. Now it's time to mix some greens. So I have two greens on my palette. I have Hooker's green and I have Pthalo green. And I'm going to mix it with some of that azo yellow that's on my palette already. And I'm going to start with the stems. And I'm going to make each one of the leaves look three-dimensional by making sure it has a light and a dark side. So there's the light, or excuse me, there's the dark side. Now I'm going to add some cadmium lemon so that the greens mix right on the paper. Same with this one. So there's the lemon and there's the Hooker's green. And now to this one I'll add a little bit of azo yellow deep. So azo, if you're not familiar with it, is a cadmium substitute. It's a really beautiful yellow. It's great for making oranges. It's great for mixing greens. It's transparent and just a great color for mixing greens and, as I already said, mixing oranges. So it's a great color for both. So now I'm going to mix in a little bit of phthalo. I want all my greens to be slightly different. So this one I'll start with phthalo on this leaf, and now I'll mix in a little bit of this cadmium lemon. So do you see how all these colors are beautiful and interesting and different? Each one is different from the next. I do like to make sure I have little points on my leaves, so sometimes if I don't see a definite point, I'll go back with my brush and kind of paint one like that. Okay, so now the leaves on the upper left side, I'm going to start with some more cadmium yellow and azo yellow deep. These leaves are much more yellow looking. I'm even going to use some yellow ochre on these and some more of this azo yellow. But it's kind of nice that they're a different color because I want everything in my painting to be harmonious but also unique. So it kind of helps that they're different colors. Different colors from the greens on the leaves that are coming from the ketchup and mustard roses. And these have more blue in them, and I'm actually going to go back and add some blue, some cobalt blue to this leaf and also to this one, just to kind of emphasize how much bluer these greens are versus the ones on this side. So now I'm going to use some more azo yellow. Even the stems on these roses are more yellow. Now I'm going to go back with some green, with hooker's green. I'm going to darken some of these stems here. I want to have a nice sense of light and shadow. So I'm adding some really punchy, deep greens. Now I'm going to just go through and drop a little bit of yellow in. I call this dropping a little sunshine in. I very much love to do this at the end of my painting. Just add a little bit of extra yellow, kind of like a highlight here and there on my painting. Just add something special. I don't want to overdo it, but it's definitely something I like to do. Now I feel like these two flowers, even though I put some pretty deep, rich colors, don't have quite enough, they don't look three-dimensional enough to me. So I'm going to add some more of this Quinacridone purple bluish color. And I'm going to emphasize some of these deep, rich shadows here. My painting is in bright sunlight right now, and so sometimes they dry really quickly and dry a little bit lighter than they would if I was sitting in a shady spot. It's just something I've noticed. And now I'm going to get some of this beautiful, rich, permanent red deep and do the same thing here. I really want to get that rich, velvety color that I see in the reds. So mixing the violet along with this permanent red deep really gives me a nice rich red color. And I just like to have fully painted bright colors in my paintings. So I'm also adding some more bright yellow. And I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to add a little bit of cobalt blue and violet in the center of where the yellow is at the bottom of this rose, just to emphasize the shadow a little more. Because even though there's lots of yellow where it's facing down, it's still in shadow. So by putting the violet over it, it emphasizes the fact that it's in shadow. And for my white rose at the top here, it also needs to have a little more definition. So I'm going to use my violet mixture of cobalt blue and quinacridone purple bluish and just very lightly give it a little more definition. I'm also adding a little bit of yellow ochre to the mixture to make my favorite 3-color gray, which was yellow ochre plus cobalt blue plus one of the cool reds. It could be permanent rose, it could be quinacridone rose, or permanent red violet, but one of those cool reds plus cobalt blue plus yellow ochre makes one of my favorite grays. Really versatile color. So just a little more of that around the sides here. Just really want to set off those colors in the right way. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a little bit about painting roses on location. And most importantly, I hope it inspires you to go out in your own garden or a garden nearby and take your paints with you and do a little sketching on location. It's a lot of fun. You get to be out in nature, listen to the birds. It's all good. Thanks for watching.